First one, and Cybertruck 420. Cybertrucker 420. This guy is living in style. Question. Do you expect Tesla to be able to achieve the energy density specs for the 4680 cell they announced at Battery Day? Absolutely. It's just a matter of time. What do you guys think? Yeah?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agree.
It may take longer than they expected at the Battery Day announcement, but they'll get there.
It's probably like everything Elon predicts. It'll happen, just it'll not be timely.
I predict they'll get there in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. 2028
That's Elon
confirmed, man. Next one, please. Marty Party 03. Question. When Tesla cracks FSD without licensing Tesla's FSD software hardware, how will other companies sell their vehicles? Phenomenal question. We were discussing this earlier in the live stream. Did you guys have any additional thoughts around this that you wanted to share?
I think they'll license the software.
Yeah, unless there is a separate company that can develop full self-driving to Tesla's level. I think the thing that people miss about the Cruise and Waymo discussion, they're like, well, Cruise and Waymo are so much better. There's no driver in there already. Great. So do this. Go on YouTube. I forget this person's channel. If one of the mods or if producer wife can find this, I would love it. It's this lady who did a comparison of Cruise versus, or it was Waymo versus Tesla FSD. They ran the same exact route. Tesla FSD got there way sooner with no interventions. And the reason why is because Tesla's FSD can handle highways. Cruise and Waymo can't go on highways, and they can only go in a limited square footage or say radius of the city. These self-driving technologies are a gimmick. It's a gimmick, especially for long distance travel.
Yeah, don't they have
to
learn every single object that exists on the planet?
And it can't change. And it can't change.
On the planet. So it's limited by its knowledge of every single object. It can't adjust just to the environment.
What's the, oh yeah, Callus EV. Yes, perfect. Let's link that YouTube video on the comment section. Definitely check it out. They did the same exact route. The Tesla got there sooner because it was able to go on the highway and no interventions or disengagements. Great.
So there's
Go ahead, Hans.
One thing that George Hotz continually said when he was, and I'm not sure how actively he's pursuing Comma AI right now or not, but he actively said that he expected that Tesla would be the first company to solve fully self-driving cars, and that Comma AI would be second. We obviously know that George Hotz is a prolific hacker. He was the first person to jailbreak the iPhone when he was like 14 or 15 years old. But that combined with what we've seen recently and even talked about today, the ability to basically recreate a neural net in all of its weights, something like taking ChatGPT and being able to create a version that will run on a MacBook Air offline. It's not outside the realm of possibility that we could see very quickly after the introduction of Tesla full self-driving a essentially knockoff version that someone is able to reverse engineer from Tesla's system that could be not difficult to install in cars. And so that is, especially as a Tesla investor, if your investment thesis centers around massive profits for FSD that no one else can compete with, that's a risk that you need to have in your overall mental framework, and something you need to watch for. And yeah, like I said, watching similar types of things happen with ChatGPT, it seems like it's much higher. If before I would have thought, maybe that's a 2 or 3% chance. Now I'm thinking it's a 15 or 20% chance.
Yeah, I would expect a lot of litigation about full self-driving or competitors, about claims whose it is and who stole what. I would expect that because it's such a valuable asset that it's worth fighting over.
Yeah, the technology is going to be there. I mean, it's becoming quite clear the technology to be able to do it is going to be there way earlier than the regulators are going to be comfortable to let it loose on the world. But that's all you need. As long as the technology is there, the regulation, there's no way we're going to live in a world where you can't allow a car to drive you around. There is way too much economic pressure for it to happen. It's way too deflationary. It's a huge economic boost to cities and jurisdictions because you're essentially freeing up people's time and people's wallets to buy other stuff. And if you can remove one of the biggest costs out of the equation in driving and you add it back to the individual, then you have entrepreneurship exploding in tandem with that.
If the consumer demands it, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Even if the regulators don't want it to, it just will that will move them.
Yep. Next one, Stefan. Question: what will happen to all the unsold EVs from competitors? Can you pull up that one webpage you had up before, Producer Wife, with the Mustang Mach-E's? It's funny you bring up this question because Producer Wife did a quick search of Mustang Mach-E's that haven't sold yet. What do you think will happen to all the unsold EVs from competitors?
I think this is the good news. The good news is because they're so bad at making cars, there won't be a lot of them. That was a joke.
I do think that
now I'm laughing.
I do think that there's a very real possibility that you could see fleet operators kind of offer to buy up large amounts of, like, people are going to have to take a haircut on these vehicles, and you could see basically large lump sales of large numbers of vehicles to a single party.
That's a good call. How many pages are there, Producer Wife, if you go all the way down? I'm just curious.
God, that's a lot.
2 pages? Okay, it's like 40, it's like 30 to 40. I mean, that's not that many. Can you do Model Y? Tesla Model Y? Let's see how many there are. Within 100, within 100 miles. Oh, shit. Okay. So do Tesla Model Y. All miles from 78,642. Okay, go all the way down. Let's see how many pages there are. And
did you see
the 1,300 matches?
Did you see
1,300?
Yeah, scroll all the way to the top.
So
it tells you the number of matches on the top left side there.
Oh yeah, 1,300 match. Jeez. Okay, do Tesla Model Y. Sorry, Richard. We'll go to your question here in a second. Are these just Mach-E's or is it all Fords? 941. Wow. So there's less used Model Ys for sale in America than Mustang Mach-E's. And there's way more Model Ys in the US than Mustang Mach-E's. What does that say? There's probably 6 to 7x more Model Ys on the road than Mach-E's. And there's more Mach-E's up for sale used than Model Ys.
Lucid in the first quarter, so we just finished. They delivered something on the order of 1,400 cars for the quarter, and they produced something on the order of like 2,000 cars for the quarter. Even NIO in China last week, the number of registrations was on the order of 1,400. It's tiny. Wow. Tiny numbers, tiny.
Something's happening. I was in the camp that Lucid would survive because they would get a lot of backing from Saudi, but I just maybe that's not the case because there's not a lot of demand for their cars. There's not as much demand for their cars as I thought there would be.
I think the Saudis will do. What they did it with Credit Suisse, right? They were heavily invested in Credit Suisse. They had a lot of money in there, and when it came time to dump additional money, they said no, and they kind of bailed from it. So maybe the same thing with Lucid. It's obviously cost them a lot of money. It's obviously a dog at this point in time. And at some point in time, they're going to not want to dump more money no matter how much they've already put in.
Yeah. It almost seems like in that case, being profitable is way more important than having a good product. In the case of Lucid, which is like harder.
It's almost like production is hard.
Yeah, they just can't make cars.
Yeah.
And Rawlinson, he ribbed Tesla, right? He said the only one that had problems with production was Tesla. And now he's basically out of a job.
Karma's a bitch, man. The universe does not take hostages. That's for damn sure. Let's do one last question.
All these EVs.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mimi.
We need as many EVs as possible.
But if companies can't do them profitably, what's
Yeah. No. I know.
Yeah.